you know you have a table when you see this header row and it's got this filter kind of sort arrow. So that's called the header row. And when you see that kind of pull down list that allows you to do sorts, then you know that you're dealing with a table instead of just a range of data. Okay, so bear with me because this one is, like I said, it's a little bit involved and it's a fair amount of reading. So the first thing that your supervisor wants to do is sort and filter the data on the employees. And we want to format this range. And you can see that this range is not a table yet. It is just a range because you don't see those filter things. So what I'm going to do is just select all the data. Okay, so make sure you select your data first. And then I'm going to go to Insert Table. And that will create a table for us here. So Insert Table. And you can see that it picks the range, right? So A3 is the topmost left, and G43 is the bottommost right cell. So it includes everything in between there. My table has headers. That's this. So this row is the one that's critical. That it needs to know that this row is a header row. So you want to make sure that that is checked, and say OK. And you'll see right away it creates our sort and filter lists here. And then they're asking for a table style of line number 9, which you can get right here. Okay, and I just remember that I think it's this one here. Yeah. Okay, so it slightly changes it, but there we go. We've done the first step. First step is always the longest one, right? So now in training courses, he offers 2 sessions.
Professor,
right?
can I ask a question?
Yes. Yes, please.
How did you change the color?
I change the color by looking at, so when the table is selected, you can see your table tab is selected here, and then in there are the styles. So they ask for the style called line light number 9. So I just pull down the styles, and kind of when you hover over them, you get the tooltip there. So that's the one that they're asking for. Now, of course, you could, take it to the next level and actually define your own table style, add your own color palette that matches your corporate branding, color scheme, all kinds of stuff like that. But, these are just the built-in ones that are, fairly easy to use. And I think what you want to do and what they do in this exercise is that all the tables look the same. So you don't have like one blue table or one dark green table or one light green table, one banded table and one not. They all kind of look the same. Maybe sometimes they do actually have a banded one, just so they're easy to read. So does that make sense? So remember, you just the idea that, I don't see my table tab here, but when I click anywhere in the table, it appears, and that allows me to do various things to the table, including color schemes and styles and things. Okay, so you'll notice that if I come over here, I could actually change this to 3, right, session 3. And it lets me do that, right? So what we want to do is we want to tell it that there are no session 3s, right? So what we're going to do is a data validation here, where we let it know that the only entries that we want are either 1 or 2. Okay, so for all cells in the session column, create an in-cell drop-down data validation rule that accepts only the entries from a list. Okay, so what we're going to do first is select the entire column. If you notice, if I just hover right over it like that, I get the down arrow, and that'll select the entire column for me. I can also do it on the rows on the left there. So when I select it, then I'm going to go to Data. Here's the Data tab. Okay. So when I'm in the Data tab, I'm going to go to Data Tools, and here's Data Validation. So you can see there are various things I can do in here. The first one is the one that we want, Data Validation. Okay, so it's asking me, well, that's the error alert. Let's go to the first one first. So it's asking me, right now it's any value. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Do you click Analysis Tools, or where did you click before to get to this part?
I'm clicking on Data first.
Yeah.
And then in the Data Tools group, it's Data Validation. Okay.
Oh, so
and
I
then
guess
Data Validation again. You might be using a different version. I saw some people already, commenting about this. Make sure that you are using the full version that you can download from FIT. Remember, FIT already paid for you guys to have the full
Yeah.
version of Office. If you use the web version, it may not have some of these features.
I actually
But
just found
all
it.
you have to do, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
okay. If
okay.
anybody
I
has
think it's
trouble
fine.
with it, there's a video somewhere in there that shows you. You just got to go to the IT website and you can download it. Okay, yeah. So that's what it is. You don't realize it until you need it, that you don't have some of the bells and whistles that the full version has. So data validation, and you can see the default is any value. So I could type anything in there, but we don't want to do that. We want to make it a list, okay? And the list that we want is going to be the numbers 1 and 2. Okay, so that's all we want. Just separate them by commas. So that'll tell you that's the only thing that you can include in there. And when you say okay, then it should only let you do that. Okay, so we're also going to put in an input message, and they're asking you to say enter the number of sessions. Well, I'll do it exactly the way they say it, so I don't get marked wrong, right, by the software. Okay, so enter the number of sessions, and let me just make sure I know what I'm doing here. Same as above. Oh, I see. I made a little mistake. That should be the message. Okay, and the title is just going to be sessions. Again, make sure you do it right. So, like if I just said session, it would probably mark me wrong because it's asking for sessions. So, one of the things about data too is you got to follow the instructions pretty carefully. And then it's asking actually for an error alert here too. So the error alert is, there's various alerts you can do. It could just be a warning, which is telling you, oh, maybe that's not right, but it'll still let you do it kind of. But this one's stop. So they want, a stop kind of error alert. And what does it say here? Uses number of sessions as the title, and then the error message says enter 1 or 2. Okay, so let's do that. Number of sessions. And then the error message says enter 1 or 2. Okay, so just imagine, like, your job is data entry. This is very helpful because when you put the wrong message in, it kind of directs you what you should really do. So here's our little message now. Sessions, enter the number of sessions. And you can see from the list, the list is here. When you click on this, see, I only have 1 or 2. So I can actually use that to enter the data now. If I have a new record or something like that, I can just pull this down and say, these are my only choices. And if I try to enter something else, like 5, then that's where I get my error message here, which says enter 1 or 2. Good. So that is data validation in a nutshell. So it's kind of like a gatekeeper, right, that limits you and says, you can only do this, you can't do that. Makes your life actually a little bit easier when it's set up correctly. And just imagine, again, you might be setting this up for your employees in the future, for your company, and you want people to just, limit their entries to certain things. So, you can pre-program it like that. So this way, no matter who's working for you, they're only capable of entering certain things. Good? Makes sense to everybody? All right, so let's go to the next step here. Justin receives a request from another employee who wants to take a training course and wants to delete duplicate records from the table. Add or remove duplicate records as follows. So, I mean, again, it would be hard to kind of find the duplicate record in here, but there is one. Okay, and there's no reason to have 2 of the same record in there. A lot of times, the data needs to be cleaned. Someone entered in another one, or somebody just, was on the website twice, they applied twice, whatever they got in there. So what we're going to do is make sure that you're actually in the table somewhere. So I have a selection in the table, and then to find and remove the duplicate employee, we're going to go again to data, and there it is, same place, data tools, remove duplicates. And you can find duplicates based on all these things here, and we want to find the one that's employee number, so employee ID. So if you just click this, it should actually deselect. There we go. So deselect all of them, and we just want that one, employee ID. So say OK, and see, one duplicate was found and removed. There are 39 unique records that remain. So basically, we've just done the laundry and cleaned the data. And again, if you have a database of thousands and thousands of entries, you're probably going to find more duplicate errors in there. Okay, so back in data tools there for the same thing. Okay, so now add a new record at the end of the table. So this is very easy to do. All you have to do is just click at the end of the table, and once you start typing the new record, and again, bear with me because I have to type it here. So it's the employee ID number, and then I hit tab, and you can see it immediately adds a new row. So it's very easy to do that, and then I'm just using tab to put it, the other name in there. It's Amy Fuller. She's interested in nursing. The course is business writing. It actually knows it's autocomplete because business writing is somewhere in there, so that saves time a little bit. Here's my 1-2 drop down, and she's going to get a 2, and then hit tab again. It's a 3-hour course, and hit tab, and she is not approved, actually. Right? So again, that was one where there was a list there. She either yes or no has to go into this column. Okay? Okay, so the table is currently sorted by course name. Okay, so if you look here, you can see how it's sorted, right? All the business writing courses, all the conflict communication sources. So we can sort it by employee names, employee numbers. So this is just the ways that we can kind of pivot the table and kind of look at it in different ways. Look at names or numbers or departments or whatever. Right now we're looking at it by courses. So what we want to do is sort it by employee ID. So here is our little sort arrow here. And of course, it makes sense. We can sort it either alphabetically, ascending or descending. So we're going to click on that. We're going to go with ascending, and bingo, it just did it. Okay, so if you look now, you can see that these numbers are all ascending. Okay, they're getting higher and higher as you go down, and you'll notice that now the courses are not sorted anymore. So obviously it keeps the record of the row together. So Carol Ferrin is going to still be nursing, business writing, and her employee ID is the same. But we basically just sorted it based on the employee IDs. And you can see now that this one changes a little bit. Instead of it just being a pull down arrow, it's telling us that we made a sort based on this column ascending. Good? Make sense to everybody? So basically, just a different way of kind of looking at the table. We can, kind of examine it or analyze it in different ways. And now we know that it is sorted by this little sort indicator here. Okay? The next thing is to apply a table style option to bold the employee IDs. So just like we have a kind of header row over here, a lot of times if this is the critical row to look at, we may want to make it kind of stand out a little bit. So again, click in the table, get your table header there, and then go to actually, it's a little weird here. I want to make sure I know what I'm doing before. Table style options is what we're looking for. Table style options. Here we go. And we want to have a first column. Okay, so you can see we have a header row already. We have banded rows. I don't know, they don't look that banded, but I guess it's this style, just doesn't really show up. But watch what happens when I do the first column. Okay, so all these get bolded, and it just makes them a little bit easier to read. Okay, built right into this options. Later we'll do a total row, I think. So we did that. Justin has a request from employee. He contacts the department manager for approval so that the employee can attend the course. He wants to print a list of employees who have not been approved. Okay, so here's a filter. So when we sorted it, we still had the 39 records. But now we want to see the people who are approved or not approved. Okay, so that would be a filter where we're leaving some people out and putting some people in. So what we're going to do is actually, in this case, we're going to move them over to a separate table. Instead of just filtering here, we're going to actually set up a separate table and pull out the filtered records into a separate table. So we don't actually change this table at all, which just makes sense, right? It's just another way to look at it. So, so in cell I4, where we are now, we're going to enter no, I guess, for approval, right? So those people are not approved as the value to use as a filtering. And actually, I'm going to do it just the way they say, which is a small o, just to be really careful. Okay, so now we're going to do that advanced filter by highlighting a cell in the table again, and we're going to go back to our friend data. Okay, obviously lots of data here going on. Sort and filter. So here's the sort and filter group, and you can see we have our sort and filter commands over here. So we're going to go to filter, and actually no, this one is going to be an advanced filter. I'm going to use this advanced filter. So here it is, copy to another location. Okay, so here's the list range. It's still our selection of A3 to G43, and we're going to copy to another location, and they ask you to set the criteria that we're going to filter, and the criteria is this right here, whether it's approved or not. So let's click in here first, and then we're just going to highlight these two guys so it knows what we're doing here, and then we're going to copy it to the range I6. Okay, so I6, and say OK. Didn't like that for some reason. Hang on a second. I made some kind of little glitch. Let me try it again. So, advanced filter. Let's see what I did wrong here. Copy to another location. Criteria range is going to be I3 to I4. Let me just enter it this time. Maybe that'll do it. You don't have to drag it. I like to drag it usually because I may make a mistake. But I think I made a mistake that way. And then I'm going to copy it to I6. Okay, let's see if it likes this better. Yeah, I like that better. So I made some kind of error in there. Maybe when you watch the video, you can figure out what it is. But you can see what happens now. It pulled out all of the no records. See, most of them are yeses, and whatever it is.
Wait, Professor, sorry. Could you show that
No,
again?
don't be sorry. I
Okay,
can
thank
show it
you.
as many times as you like.
Just the filtering.
So,
I'm trying to type it out.
yeah, you're following along with me. All right, so let me undo that, let me show you again how to do that. I'm actually going to just clear the contents here. So I highlight this and control click. There's a choice called clear contents, so that'll remove that from there. And I should be able to just go backwards, actually. I don't know why it doesn't want to let me go backwards there. But we can do it again. So what you want to do is go to the advanced filter, and it's asking for a couple of entries. First thing, it needs to know the range, and the range is there. So you can see this little marquee around there, just confirming what data we're actually crunching here. And then it's asking me what is the criteria that I want to do the filter on. And the criteria is this right here, approved, no. So it's I3 and I4, okay? And we're using the absolute values of I3 and I4, okay? So it pulls that data there, and then copy it to another place. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to copy it over here, which is what, I17. We'll just do it there for now, too. So copy to another location, and I'll click on this cell, and so it should know that it is I17. Actually, I made a little mistake. I want it to be in the other location there, so that's not going to work. Let me do it one more time. Hopefully it'll work this time. So everything else is the same, right? And when we click on this cell, it should give us I17 there. Okay, and now it should work. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense. But you're not supposed to have two tables, right?
No,
Are we?
no, you're not supposed to have two. I just did two because you wanted to see it again. I don't know why, for some reason, it won't let me delete this. I don't know why it won't let me go backwards. It just seems to be locked up on itself. But yeah, only one. It's obviously the same exact table. Good. Okay, so now let's go to the next step, which is, let me just make sure we did that. Okay. So it says resize the columns. Copy the result. Resize the columns I to O for the best fit. So there's all kinds of ways to do this. This is just the way that I did it. So first of all, you select the columns that you want to resize, I to O, and then I went home. And if you go to format cells, there is a format, and then you can say auto fit column width. Okay, because that's what we want, auto fit column width. And you can see it opened up so that we could read these in there, basically opened up so that everything fits in there, auto fit. And I think when I did that, it liked the way I did it, so it graded me correctly on it. Good.
Professor?
So now, yes.
You clicked format as table?
Where did I do that? No, I didn't do that here. For this one, I did format under cells, right? And then format, and then auto fit column width.
Is that under data or which?
It's under, no, it's on the home tab. Home tab first. You know, make sure that your data is, your mouse is actually in somewhere in the data there. I actually highlighted first the row headings, right, the columns, and then go to home, and then here under cells, format. You should have ways to set up exact dimensions for the row height and column width. So in this case, it was auto fit column width, which did it for us. Good? So that everything fits in there nicely. Now we're ready to move to the next plateau, which is we're going to change to the continuing education tab. So this already includes a filtered table. So how do you know? You can see it's filtered. It's got this little funnel thing over here. Let me see if I can just make this a little larger for you. Okay, so that tells us that the table has been filtered, which lets us know there's missing records. See this over here, 11, 14, then it jumps right to 30. So we know that there are records that are not being shown here. We're only looking at certain records, and you may want to like go back and show all the records. So we can clear the filter. Okay, so we're going to click on the filtered one over here, and then one of the choices is clear filter. And once we clear that filter, you can see everybody comes back now. You can see all the rows are neatly ascending. There's nothing missing anymore, and we basically remove the filter so we can see everybody who's there now. Good? That makes sense? Back to lime green. Okay, you can see that this table looks different. So just to make it look the same, remember, click in the table, go to the table tab. Here's our table styles. When I hover over them, I get a pull down arrow. Pull that down, and here's our lime light number 9, which looks like the other table. Okay, so it looks nice and uniform then, more professional. Everything looks the same. Good. He notices that no one has enrolled in session 2 of holistic nursing. So he wants to remove that record, and it's pretty easy to do. What you want to do basically is delete some rows. So session 2, which is 6755. So it's this guy right here. See, no one has enrolled. So I'm just going to click in this row here, and then same thing, home, cells, delete, and I want to delete, in this case, the row, right, the entire row. So delete sheet rows. Now the interesting thing about this, I don't know if I showed you this before, but imagine there was data here somewhere else. You wouldn't want to delete this data, right? So if you delete this entire row 29 in a normal way, like just selecting the row and hitting delete, you'd be deleting all this too, and that might be other critical data. So remember, we just want to delete the rows from this actual selected thing here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, you don't see it there, but if there was other data here, it wouldn't have been deleted. We only deleted that row from the table. Good?
Wait, can you do
Makes
that one more
sense?
time?
Sure. For some reason, I'm able to undo it again now, right? So I got that undone. And the trick here is, let's just see if this works. Let's say over here, I type something, right? It's got some other data out there. And now I select this, but, oh, wait, no, I made a mistake. I shouldn't try to. What I want to do is I only want to delete the data that's there. So let me just go back to this. So I highlight it, and then I go to the home tab, and we go to our cells group again, delete, and we want to delete the sheet rows. So row 29, goodbye. And of course, what happens is the row below it, anything below it, comes up to fill it. So 29 is still there, but the data is gone. Good? Okay, so let's see what the next thing is here now. They charge a fee to cover the cost of hiring medical experts to teach the courses. So Justin wants to display the total amount charged for each course in all courses. So it sounds like he wants a total row, right? He wants a total row. So insert a new column to the right of open seats. That would be this right here. Now, how do you insert a new column? Remember, if you just click there, and once you start typing something, it'll automatically add it to the table. So it's going to be total charged. Hey, once I enter it, watch what happens. Bingo. So I get the whole, header row, header column added there, and then it's got the filter arrow already for you to use. And then in cell H7, enter a formula without using a function that uses structured references to multiply the price by the number of people enrolled. Okay, so you can see the price is $800. There are 12 people enrolled. So the idea is it's 800 times 12. It's pretty easy, whatever, you can even do it in your head. Or it's also, you could say it's D7 times F7. But remember, a structured reference would be price times enrolled. And that's what they want, just so it's easy to understand and it doesn't become so cryptic. So the way we do it is we set our equal sign. Remember, all Excel formulas begin with an equal sign. And now you can just click on these guys. See that? So price, and then we're going to multiply by, so we put in our operator for multiplication, and then click on enrolled. Okay, so you can see it's actually, pretty simple when you do it. Obviously, it does all these weird brackets and everything, so it understands it. But
Wait, sorry, Professor. Is that price times?
it's price times enrolled, I think, right? Is what you want. Let me just do it again because it looks like I had an error there. Make sure I know what I'm doing too. Remember, Excel can be a stickler for. So let's just make sure we can. I'm going to try to clean this stuff out of there. Somehow I made some kind of mistake in the structured references. Okay, let's try it again. Okay. So what I want to do is pull down. Let me just make sure. You should be able to. You can type this actually, but we want to make sure that I want Excel to enter it for me. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so I click on that, and now I'm going to put in my. I made a mistake. I don't click on the header. Click on the actual entry here. That one, it works better. Okay, so we do that, and now we do our operator, which is multiplication, and then we're going to click on F7. That's going to work much better, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we have our answer is there, $9,600. Good, does that make sense to everybody now? So instead of D7 times
Mine did the answer for like the whole table.
Okay, that's fine. I think mine did that the first time too. I don't know why it didn't do it, but if it didn't do it for you guys, just use the fill handle now and fill it down.
Okay.
Everybody knows how to do that, right? So you want to do it for the whole table. So you're going to just grab that and fill down. And I think they're also asking that you apply the accounting number format. So remember, with this still selected now, here's your number. It's still home tab, number, and then pull down to accounting. And see that changed it a little bit. And they want you to decrease the decimal to 0. So it would be this guy, I think, right? Decrease decimal. And there you go. Okay,
Sorry, where was the accounting? Under home?
It's under home, and then the number group. You should see a list that says either number or general, and then you'll see when you pull down that list arrow, you'll see accounting is there. Okay, so you pull up accounting, and then also use the decreased decimal to get rid of the cents. Even though there are no cents, it just makes it look weirder when you start seeing, 9,600 and then decimal 00. It looks more expensive. So a lot of people will see all those zeros and be like, oh, I can't afford this or whatever, right? So even psychologically, a lot of times you don't want to show those, remaining zeros and just round it off. It looks better. Good? Makes sense to everybody? Okay, so now we're going to add a total row, which automatically totals the amounts in the total charge column. Okay, so what we're going to do for that then is be in the table again. Here's our table command and table style options. There's the total row. Click on that, and like magic, it totals that up so we have a total for all of our charges there. Good. Next thing, we want to display the count of the continuing education courses. So if you go to cell B29, okay, B29, which is this, right? Session. So we just want to count all these courses that are here. So you notice when I go here, I get this little arrow, and this will do calculations for me. So I can find the average. That wouldn't make sense because it's text. But count, yes, it will count the number of courses. You know, there are other statistical functions here. Give me the highest, the lowest, add them together, and there's even more of them. So we just want to know the count. Okay, so there's 22 courses, and if you count them, yep, 7 to 29, right? So that's 22 courses. So it's another convenient way that you can just, you know, like for instance, in the price one over here, I can do something like figure out what is the average price of a course? Well, it's $522. You know, if you really wanted to know that, right? So there's ways that you can just do like quick kind of calculations. What's the cheapest course? What's the most expensive course? Things like that. Good. So those little pop-ups, again, table power, right? You can't do this with a range. You have to start writing your own formulas and stuff. Okay, so Justin has created an area in the range J1 to L4. J1 to L4, that's this right here. So he's going to look up data. So here's our lookup function where, you know, again, imagine we have a really huge list here. So in order to find something, instead of like plowing through this and trying to match something, I'm going to use a formula to find things, which makes my life a lot easier. Okay, so he wants to find the number of people enrolled in a specific course. He has already entered the data in the course ID, which is here. And then what we want to do is in J4, which is this cell here, we're going to enter in the formula called VLOOKUP. Okay, so I'm going to go to the functions over here, and sometimes you'll see it over here. I don't know why, because I just did use it. But if you start typing it, it should appear right away. Okay, so there it is, VLOOKUP. Do it this way. I find that this way is much easier than actually entering the formula yourself. Let Excel hold your hand. So when you click on this, you'll see right over here, it's a like formula builder, and it's asking me for the arguments. So the arguments of the data that I'm going to put in the formula, it's going to crunch. So it just makes your life a lot easier. So for the lookup value, make sure we know what we're talking about here. If you have a question, just open your mic and ask it. Jay,
Yeah,
before I
well,
begin.
did you? Yeah, we probably have the same question.
How'd you get this, the formula builder?
I have it
Is
up,
that what you're
but
asking?
I just don't see the lookup value, like where you are
You have to,
right now.
you have to enter that lookup value. All right, so I'm going backwards. See where I am now? I'm back in the beginning again. So in order to get that, you have to go to the formula bar here, right? And the formula bar is where you enter in all your formulas. So this formula is a function, which is a built-in kind of templated formula for me. So instead of actually writing a formula, Excel is going to enter in a function, which is a formula, but it's already kind of formatted. Okay, so I click on that. And remember, all functions and formulas begin with an equal sign. And once I start typing it, I don't know why it doesn't come up, and it should really come up here, most recently used. But once I start typing VLOOKUP, it comes up. So now I'll call it up, and it's asking for the lookup value, which is, you know, one of the arguments that it's looking for.
That's the part that doesn't happen for me. Like I can do everything you said except in the formula builder, it won't change to lookup value, table array, and all that.
You don't see that, huh?
No, it just like stays the same on the formula builder. Like it wants me to type it.
Okay, well, you can type it. Watch what happens when I mean, it gives you like the thing over here, right? So the trick about it is that inside parentheses and separated by commas, you have to enter in these four arguments. So the lookup value in this case is going to be J2. Okay, so you can do it, you can just type it in, see what happens if it works. I'm not sure why you're not seeing it. It might be something in your preferences. We can take a look at it later. So there you go, enter in that J2 there, right? And then the table array is the entire table. So you can click on the range here. Make sure that it knows the entire table that you're looking for. Okay, so courses, it knows the name of the table.
Is that the
And
headers too when selecting the
yeah, I
entire table?
included the headers. I included the headers. Absolutely. It won't, give you a wrong answer with that. It just needs to know the entire table, I think. Okay, so courses is the table, and then here's the one that it's really going to look up. The value is in column 6 that we're looking for, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want to find enrolled, right? So that's the index number that we're looking for, column 6. So I'm just going to enter a 6 in there, okay? And then this thing here, the range lookup, is a logical thing. If you say true, it'll find something that's close to it. I don't know, I've never really used that. For the most part, you always want the exact match, so I'm going to say false. Okay, so that's what the formula should look like. If you didn't get the formula builder, it should be equals VLOOKUP, then open parens, J2, courses, open bracket, number sign, all, close bracket, and then comma 6, comma false.
So in courses,
know
is the total included? Or
Yeah, you can include the total. Yeah, shouldn't
okay,
upset
so
it.
like I didn't do that the first time, and now it's not letting me include the total. It says courses in red, like on yours. Should I just leave it, or?
Yeah, should be fine. Should be fine. See what happens if you go to the next step. See if you get the correct answer, which is 21.
Yeah, I did. All good.
Good, good. So what it's doing then, now you can see, the magic of this. I mean, imagine you had to go in here, figure out, everything with this course ID, and then figure out how many students were enrolled in that course, especially if there were multiple entries of it. Here, it scours through the table for you and figures out, the number of people that are enrolled in this course. Good? So let me say that, this is something that you have to be able to wrap your head around, and, just following along with me might be a little hypnotizing. I think looking at it again after class and kind of doing it yourself is really where you're going to have that aha moment. But, understand the logic that's involved here. What's happening is you're looking up a certain value, which is this, in this table, which is the total table array, which is this, and then you're looking for the value that matches this in this column, which is column 6. So it always starts from the left. So it considers this column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the false will give you an exact match, and that's what we want in this case. Anyway, we're going to do a few more of them, so you'll see again, how it works, hopefully. So let's see what else he wants here. He wants to figure out the total cost, which makes sense, right? So K2, and again, he doesn't want the total cost. He wants the total cost just for this lookup. So does that make sense? We're gonna sum, but we're not gonna sum everything. We're just gonna sum the ones that match a certain criteria. So that is a function that's called dsum. So instead of just adding everything in the column, it's gonna add only the things that meet a certain criteria. Just like this meta criteria for this column and this value, now we're going to only add the things that meet that criteria. So let's see what happens here. We're going to enter in the formula here called dsum. So again, I'm going to go to the function and I type D, and didn't come up yet, but if I type an S, there it is, dsum. Now I like this, and I'm sorry if you guys can't see this, because the nice thing about this is it actually tells you what's going on. So it says adds the numbers in the field column of records in the database that match the conditions you specify. Okay, so it'll tell you here, these are the arguments, the database, the field, and the criteria. So the database is the array, and then the field is the certain column heading, but the criteria here is what's critical, right? So a certain criteria. So let's actually do it now. So for our database, we're going to do our complete range again. So yes, you are going to include the header, right? So the entire range and the total row should be fine. Okay, so there it is, courses. And then the field that we're going to base it on is the total charged field header. And again, you could just click on it, or you could say, well, it's H6. So I'll just enter in H6. Okay, and then the criteria here is the critical thing. So the criteria is that it is matching session 3. Okay, so just grab these two guys. Okay, so it just tells you that it's going to be only the ones that match session 3. Okay, so it'll look at all these like 800, 225, 1000, and it'll only add those. Does that make sense to everybody? So we have a formula that looks at the entire table based on the cost, but only on the cost of ones that meet the criteria for session 3. And there is our answer. See, it gives you the answer too, so you can kind of see if it's making any sense. And why am I getting these number signs? Does anybody know? It just doesn't fit, right? So you can just double click on the border here, or you could use that thing before where we went in and actually formatted the rows to meet the fit there. Good? Make sense to everybody?
It didn't work out for me somehow. I think it's the courses. I wrote the sum. Oh, no, when I inserted the formula. But I can also do it after class if you don't want to show it again. It's fine.
Well, I mean, I can show it again, but the trick is to, look at the formula here and make sure that it is copacetic, that it matches. We can certainly go over it again. Let me go through it once, and then we'll see, anything that bothers people, we can kind of go back and do it again. Okay, so the next thing he wants to do is figure out the number of open courses that have at least an open seat. Okay, so you can see like a lot of them are closed, right? The ones with zeros are closed. This reminds me of like, the wait list at FIT, right? So you want to get into a class, right? Oh, Professor Kokinos has one space open here. Let me get in that class or whatever. So we're going to use this open seats row here to figure out courses that are open as opposed to courses that are closed. Okay, so he wants to identify the number of open courses that have at least one open seat. Okay, so we're going to go into L4 in this case, and we're going to count the number of courses. But again, we're not just going to count them. We want to count. See, it could count every entry here, and we come up with 39 again, or whatever it is. But we only want to count the ones that have a number greater than 0. So they have to have seats available, not the ones that have 0. So we're going to use a formula called decount, which only looks at that. So let's start counting that in there. Decount A, actually it is. Okay, so it tells you here, count non-blank cells in the fields that match the conditions you specify. Okay, so again, the condition is going to be that the value has got to be greater than 0. Okay, so let's do it again here. So our database is going to be, let me just make this a little smaller. It might be just easier to do this without having to keep resizing it. Let me do it on here. Okay, so let's get our range again. Okay, and these are all the same actually, so they should work. I mean, just that there's different formulas, but typically the field, the array, the field, and the criteria are the same kind of arguments. So if you're having trouble with it, just try to do it again. It's probably some kind of, you saw like one time I entered in the wrong thing or whatever. So here the field is open seats. Okay, so it would be this one, G6. Okay, so G6 is the field we're going to work on. See, it even knows it's open seats. And then the criteria here is, I'm going to use the criteria that he set up, actually, which is this, greater than 0. Okay, so we just highlight these two guys, so it knows that's going to fit that. I think it would work if you actually typed in greater than zeros here. So there's 12 courses that meet that criteria. So if you counted them, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so it does work. Okay, so we can figure out the number of open courses with that decount A function. All right. He wants more, Justin. There's no satisfying this guy. So he wants
I can ask something quickly. Sorry.
Surely.
Yeah.
Don't be sorry.
It's I'm in the formula builder and it's the field section. I have all the whole table selected still. How do I deselect the whole table so I can just click G6
Okay,
column?
if when you're in the field, just click outside the table then. Click in a blank area like over here, and that should deselect it for you. And then you can click on G6. And remember, you can also just type, you can just click in the field box over here and just type G6 in there. That should also work. Did it work?
G6. I
Make
think
sense?
it worked, and the last one was
Okay.
L1, L2. Okay.
Yeah, it's L1 and then colon L2. And see if it worked. Make sure you get 12. The answer should be 12. 12 courses.
L2. Let's see.
L1 colon
It says,
L2.
yeah, some things.
You didn't get the 12. It's giving you some kind of error message.
It says results ... So G6, trying to look courses. It looks identical to yours, so don't know. Let's see.
Maybe you just have to backtrack it. So, like I said, don't be upset to have to do it again. When I first started working with this, like I said, you have to kind of wrap your head around the concept, and I think just doing it a couple of times will give you the aha moment of how it works. Okay, and we can go over it again. Let me go through the whole thing first, just to make sure that we get through it, and then if you want to ask questions about a specific operation, we can start from scratch and just do that operation. I think most of them are pretty exclusive. Okay, so now he wants to figure out courses that are priced above $500. Okay, so we're going to use a number filter here. Obviously, we can see the price of the courses are here, right? Some of them are below 500, some of them are above 500. We want to filter it so we can just see the ones that are above 500. So we're going to do a filter in the price column. Okay, so we pull down the filter, and you can see the filters are here. So there's all these different filter kind of criteria, and we're going to pick greater than. Okay, greater than, and it's 500. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do, right? It automatically does it, and you can see only the courses now that are above 500 are listed. If you look at the row headings here, you can also tell that it's been filtered because you see, jumps in the numbers, or you can look at this to see that it's been filtered. And remember, if you want to go back, you can just clear that filter. Okay, and that brings back everything. So again, your boss asks you, let me see all the courses that are above 500, and you say, Justin, let me do that for you really easy here. I'm just going to go and do an advanced filter. I'm going to go to greater than, and then type in my criteria here of 500, and bingo, it automatically filters the courses above 500. Now we're going to sort this filtered data in ascending order by session and then by price. Okay, so an advanced sort. Okay, so you can't just sort it here when you do an advanced sort. You've got to go and consult up here to do an advanced sort because you're going to do 2 levels. So we're going to go to data, okay, and go to our sort and filter group and the sort button. Okay, this is an advanced filter, but we're going to do a sort here. So sort, and here's what you're going to do. Sort by, and pull this down so it tells you what I can sort by. So first I'm going to sort by session, okay, and then I'm going to add another sort, and this sort is then going to be by price, okay, which is weird because price is not there, which is kind of strange. So what did I do? Did I do something wrong here? Make sure I got this right here. Session by price. It should work. It should work fine. Anyway, let's try it again. So sort by session. There we go. For some reason, I didn't see them all. So this is another thing, like, sometimes like just going backwards one step, instead of saying, like, I hit a wall, I don't see it. What did I do wrong? I got to call the publisher or something, tell them that the thing is wrong. But just go back one step, and a lot of times, it'll kind of massage it and come up correct for you. All right. So first, we're going to sort by the session. Okay, and then we're going to add another sort, and we're going to sort by the price this time. Okay, so 2 sorts, an advanced sort. I think you can sort up to 127 different things. So imagine that. So if you look here, we sorted first by session and then by price. Notice the sessions are in order, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then if you look over in the price column, again, session 1 by the lowest price to the highest price, session 2, lowest price to the highest price. Good, makes sense? So that is an advanced sort. Okay, so we're done with that one, and now we're going to go to the all courses, as if we haven't had enough fun yet. So in this one, all courses, Justin wants to identify courses concentrating on the emergency room. Okay, so the first thing he wants to do is apply banded rows so that he can see what's going on. So what we're going to do here is just make sure you're in the table again. Go to your table tab, okay, and then table style options, banded rows. Here we go. Okay, and there you go. You got your banded rows. Every other one is dark or light. This way it's just easier to scan it and read it. And then we're going to filter the all courses table using a custom auto filter to display only courses with the names beginning with ER. So an auto filter is one that's built in again, and kind of like greater than, less than. It's kind of built in already. So let's go to data. This time we're going to click on filter. And we're going to filter the course name. And believe it or not, one of them actually has begins with. Okay, so we go to begins with, and in this case, it's emergency room. So once you start typing ER, there you go. Okay, so it filters only the ER course names right there. Make sense? Clear the filter,
Wait, what was
they
it
all come
called?
back.
Begin with? What was it called? Sorry.
Well, I'll do it again. Do it again. Just watch. So again, I'm in the table. As long as I'm in the table, it knows I don't have to select the table with this one. And then I go to the table tab, and I'm sorry. I'm going to go to data for this one, and it's going to be a built-in filter. So actually, I'm going to do it right here. Okay, so the filter is begins with, just the letters that it begins with. See, some of them begin with ER, so that's what I want to filter. So I type E, and only the, notice ethics came up here too, but I don't want ethics. I want only the emergency ones. So when I type in ER, only the ER ones come up. Make sense? All right. So now prepare the all courses worksheet for printing by using the data in row 6 as the print titles. This is a bad example because it's such a small table, but the idea would be like, imagine this table went down to thousands of entries. I want this header row to print on every page. I don't want to see like page 2 just start with like, Sean Briggs and a number that I have no idea what it means. I want to see this header print on every row. So, it's just a kind of logistical thing that when you print it, you want to see the column headers all the time. So the way you do it is you go to page layout, and then in the page setup, there is a print titles button here. Okay, print titles. And there's all other kinds of things that you can do here, but the print titles is the one you want. So you want to repeat the row at the top, and it's row 6, I believe, right? So if you just click here and then highlight that row, you should get, the absolute value of row 6. Okay, so say okay.
Was that under print titles?
Yes, print titles, exactly. Print titles, and the reason for it, right? The idea that the table is so long, but the header is only on the first page. But when you print it, you want every page to start with the header, so it makes sense, and people aren't just reading the records. They know the header row is reprinting on each page. Good? So it's page layout, and then print titles, and then you just consult the one that you want to print on every, highlight that one that you want to print on the top. Okay, you can also repeat the columns if you wanted to. If you have like a label going down here, you may want to have that reprinted And then you can do other things too, like print it with the grid lines or not, print it in color, black and white, you know, how it's going to print in the printer, that the order, all kinds of like, you know, little kind of organizational things you can do here when you print it out. Good. Last sheet, folks. So we're going to go to the course detail sheet now. Let's see what he's got here. 2 tables again, 2 nice lime green banded tables. Let's see what he wants us to do here. Course data such as classroom locations and instructor evaluations. So Justin included a table named locations with the range A3 to C9, but he does not plan to filter or sort the data in this table, so you might as well convert it back to a range. Okay, so just like we could create a range into a table, we can just go the other way too. So again, I'm just going to highlight the table again, and here we go. In our table tab over here, under tools, we can convert it back to a range. And you know what's going to happen then, right? You're not going to see these filter, sort, pull downs anymore. You go like that, and it's, you know, warning you, and say yes, and now bingo, you lost those pull downs, and this is just a regular range now. No longer has the table. Notice when I click on it too, I don't get the table tab here. When I click on this guy though, I do get it right away. So I have more power.
Professor, do you mind
Yes.
reading that, please?
Yeah, no problem. So let's see if I can backtrack this one. Okay, so there we are. We're back to, so the idea was that he didn't want to make it more complicated. This one, he doesn't need to sort or filter or do anything with, add, subtract, you know, make any kind of things about. So he just wants to convert it back to a range. So what we do first is highlight the entire table and then go to our table tab and table tools and convert to range. Now, of course, if this was a range, it would say convert to table. So Excel knows it's either one or the other. So in this one, it says convert to range. So it's going to just bring it back to a simple, you know, rows and columns range over here now. It doesn't have these guys anymore. Good?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're almost done. So Justin needs to insert a table listing the courses available online. So he wants to insert a new table here beginning in cell A11, which is this. Okay, so in cell A11, you got to bear with me again. I got to do some typing. I'm going to enter data first. Okay, so if you guys would bear with me, I don't think I need to enter everything. Online courses. I'm not the fastest typist, so I don't want to put you through all this. Credits. Hitting tab to navigate table. You can also use the arrow keys. Certification. Not that much, so I'll type the whole thing with a question mark. Okay, and then I'm going to go back. I can use my arrow key to go back and down. And then 12 is going to be preventing falls. That's a class I should take. Tab, 1 credit course. Certification, no. Good. Okay, and the next one is diabetes care. One credit. Certification, yes. And last one is allergies. 1 credit. And then certification on this one is yes again. Okay, so let's see what he's got going on here. We entered the data for the table. Okay, so we're going to format it as a table. Right? Look at and how do we format it as a table? Format as table. Okay, you can do it like that, or you can go to insert table. I think the other one they told you to insert table, but this will work too. Format as table. And once we go to our lime green friend over here, light, was it? This guy, right? So again, it's going to ask me that my table has headers, so that first row, and we should get our filter and sort arrow again. So that worked. Okay, so sometimes there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So you can do it there, or you can do it with insert table. Either one will work. But now that we have that, we're going to use online as the name. So if you click on it again, you can see it just called it table 4 over here in the properties. So remember when you use it in some of the formulas, instead of seeing table 4, table 5, which is much more confusing, you may want to see online or evaluations or more descriptive kind of structured reference. Okay, so this one is going to be called online. Okay, so we got that. Just make sure I know where we are here. Online. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, we entered that in, so now that table is known as online. The evaluations table in the range ranks the 6 most popular courses and the average evaluation scores of the full-time instructors. Justin created an area in the range E11, which is this right here, right? E11 to F14 to look up data in the evaluations table. Okay, so here's the evaluations table here, right? So we can see the various instructors, and these are the evaluation scores that they got. So basically somebody may say something like, well, I want to take the course with the instructor who has the best, evaluation. So they want to look them up or something like that. It's kind of like, rate my professor, right? So let's see what the lookup is going to be here. Look up the average evaluation score earned by instructor Egan for the emergency care course. Okay, so first thing it says is in cell E14, begin the formula using HLOOKUP. Okay, so E14, and instead of it being looking up in columns now, it's going to look up in rows. That's just the difference. So one was, vertical lookup, VLOOKUP. This one is going to be a horizontal lookup. So it's just going to go across. It's basically the same exact thing, just looking at it from a horizontal thing. Okay, so we're going to begin the formula with HLOOKUP. So all formulas start with an equal sign. HL should give us what we want. Here's our formula builder friend popped up again. So the instructor name is going to be the lookup value. So it's E12. Okay, E12 is the instructor name. Let's just make sure we know what we're doing. Right, E12. So we want to find Egan, right? We want to find Egan, and we want to figure out what his evaluation is. So E12. Okay, the table array, use the entire table evaluations. Okay, so that should be this guy here. Okay, that looks good. Display the value in row 2. Row 2 would be emergency care, right? So the index in this case is 2. And then again, we want the exact. So remember, it's going to be false. Okay, so Egan got a 98, and there it is. Okay, does that make sense? So it looks up the second row, and it finds Egan, 98. And again, it's kind of dinky because there's only, so little entries. You can easily figure it out yourself. But just imagine if this was a huge database. So it's able to kind of pull that out for you. Okay. And
So
then
I
the
have
last.
the same. Oh, sorry. I have
Go
the
ahead.
same. Yeah, I have the same issue here again. When I click the table array, the lookup value is still selected, so it adds on to that somehow. Even though I
Yeah, I
click
don't know.
outside,
Even though you click outside.
yeah, I did. It says N/A now. Like I didn't get the.
Not available. Not available.
Oh yeah, I
Something
clicked setting.
something is not exactly right there. I guess the best way to do it though is try to enter in everything over here without selecting it, and just wondering. We can do it again. This is the last step. So then we'll see anybody who needs help. We can try to do it again. See what happens, and don't worry about it. I'll get you through it. So what we want to do now is use a function called match. Find the rank and popularity of a course listed in the evaluations table. So rank in popularity. So again, we just want to see, I guess the match, the order here. So the course name is going to be F12. Let me put the function in first. The function is match. There it is. So just another kind of fancy lookup. So the lookup value is going to be F12. Just make sure we know what we're talking about here. F12 is going to be emergency care. And again, like I could click on it, but if you're having trouble, I would say the best thing to do is just type in whatever you can. See, and it knows what it is. So if I clicked on it, it would say emergency care here, but this keeps it simpler, I think. use the instructor column in the evaluations table as the column to search. Let's see what happens here now. So instructor column, it's going to be E4 to E9, right? E4 to E9. Again, I'm just going to type it in. I think it's more, so E4 colon E9, that's the range. And in this case, the match type, again, just to make it a little more confusing, it has this weird thing where the exact match for this is going to be 0. So you can do 1 for things that are close but they're greater than, or -1 for things that are close but they're less than. But in this case, we want to get right on it, so the match is going to be 0. Okay, so enter a 0 in there, and there's 1 result. Okay, so actually what it really means is that he is the highest, right? If you look, Egan has the highest ranking in emergency care. He has a 98, as opposed to Barca with a 95, Gomez with a 90, and whoever this is over here has an 89. So you definitely want to take the course with Egan. Okay, so that's it. That's everything.